Amok, 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 amok. What the fuck? Hocus Pocus 2 is a Disney Plus original from director Ann Fletcher, who did The Proposal, 27 Dresses, The Guilt Trip, Step Up, and Hot Pursuit. This was written by 3 different people, including one of the original writers who also did An American Tail 1 and 2 and 3. I didn't even know they did a third An American Tail movie. Maybe his FIFO goes straight to hell for all I know. He also did The Page Master, back when Macaulay Culkin was trying to have a career after Home Alone. Thankfully, he is doing better now. So the other 2 writers, Jen D'Angelo, who I assume is related to Tony D'Angelo. If you are a non-wrestling fan, you have no idea what I'm talking about. She's wrote a few TV episodes, and this is her feature debut. And also Blake Harris, who did the 2018 version of The Little Mermaid. So, this is a sequel to, wait for it, dramatic pause, Hocus Pocus. It came out on July 16th, 1993, and I did retro review that recently. You can check that out if you'd like. And that movie attained cult status. It actually was well received initially, maybe not so much by critics, but by fans, and has garnered a pretty damn good cult status and cult following since then, and people have been clamoring for a sequel. I mean, practically frothing at the mouth. And finally, Disney said, okay, we're giving in. We have more money than about 10 federal governments put together, so we're putting it out on our streaming service. Hooray! And then people watched it, and some like it. And if you're like me, and I know I am, and you hold no real affection towards the original, you didn't really go in with that many high expectations. You watch this and you think, okay, let's see, the plot of the original. You have the Sanderson sisters. So Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker playing Sarah because she still cannot know any other name other than her own. She gets confused, just like if you show her a shiny object. That's mean. And also Kathy Najimy, who, is actually a very good actress in her own right. And Bette Midler, I mean, think about, the amount of great roles she's had and how well and outspoken she is on social media. And good for her, because she actually has some very, very good points. But nevertheless, the 3 original cast members and a brand new slew of cast members come back. And in the original, the Sanderson sisters were resurrected 300 years later, and then they had to deal with all the modern technology and everything, but they had to survive Halloween night, suck the souls out of children, and suck the energy out of children, and basically sacrifice somebody to attain immortality. They failed to do that, and then 29 years later, we have more young people that accidentally resurrect the Sanderson sisters, and now they're going to sacrifice people and take revenge on the people of Salem, even though the people of Salem in this incarnation had nothing to do with sending them to the depths of hell. Okay, so the plot is pretty much just right here. Now, a great sequel, like, say, Top Gun Maverick, which I never thought I would have said before I saw the movie. It's terrific. Absolutely check it out. It was well worth seeing in theaters. One of the best theatrical experiences I ever had. Say, Top Gun Maverick or Terminator 2 or any sequel that actually is well received. A proper sequel goes off and takes the original source material, but goes off in its own direction and everything and soars to new heights. A bad sequel basically tunnels back into the original and, hollows it out like a goddamn tauntaun and goes to sleep. That is what Hocus Pocus 2 basically is. I didn't necessarily love or hate the original, but I appreciate what they were trying to do. This didn't have any magic at all. Ironic for a movie that is about witchcraft. Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy just basically feel like caricatures, and they feel like relics. And that's not even knocking them as far as like being older actresses. It's just this is taking an IP and basically doing the same beats and then trying to add a few new things, like how they react to automatic doors, or how they react to Alexa, or how they react to all this technology and everything, and it's hilarious. It's not good. The comedy is really, really bad. This is a really excruciatingly, at times, bad sequel. Now, there are times where it's not all that bad. I have seen worse. But the friendship in the original felt a little more natural. You had the brother, his sister, and you had a camaraderie between the 3 particular children. In this one, you don't really have that. The three, well, children, teenagers in question: Becca, Whitney, don't call me Dante's Peak; Izzy, played by Belissa Escobedo, I hope I pronounced that right; and Cassie, played by Lilia Buckingham. Not of the palace, not the palace, not the chalice, no, not Buckingham Palace. Sorry to every UK person watching this, all 5 of you. They are friends, but they are also estranged because Cassie is kind of growing up. Well, I guess this is growing up. She essentially has a boyfriend, has new friends. She hasn't, you know, like pushed her friends to the side, but her 2 friends, Becca and Izzy, don't really like her new Cassie's new friends and the boyfriend because they kind of make passive aggressive and at times maybe not intentionally mean spirited comments, but they make fun of them. So they're like, we don't want anything to do with you. Oh, and also they all 3 of these girls used to do witchcrafty stuff together, and now Becca and Izzy still do, and they're gonna have a horror movie night. Also, there is a magic shop owner named Gilbert, played by Sam Richardson, who is very, very in tune with the Sanderson sisters lore. And also, we get some recycled footage from the first movie, and we get a few plot twists, I guess. And we just get pretty much the same retreads. And we get Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy acting all shocked by all this crazy stuff happening. But damn it, they just want to continue to live forever young. They want to be forever young. Do you really want to live forever, forever, forever young? Okay, so this one also has a bit of an origin thing from, the early days of Salem. In the first one, it was a few minutes, and it was about, when they turned the future McGee, Sean Murray, into a cat and also stole his sister's energy. In this one, we actually see them as children, and we find out, how they became witches, and then we smash cut to present day. And then we see stuff with Becca, Izzy, and Cassie, and we see some comedy. And we also see a tie to the old Salem days in the form of a mayor. And other than that, we pretty much just get the same retreaded jokes. And we try to have some meta commentary and some funny moments. And I'm sorry, the writing is absolutely ass. Absolutely ass. Some of the dialogue is terrible. There was one line like, oh, I love the resting witch face. Yeah, I got a few faces I was making during this goddamn thing. Like, why? Who thought this was a good idea? Is there any way we could bring up, the writers and Disney execs on capital charges against Hollywood and against filmmaking? Yes, at times I hated this movie, and honestly, I didn't even think it was going to be that bad, and it just turned out to be blah, and didn't really have a whole lot of magic, and they tried for an emotional punch a little bit later on, and it didn't really work. And also, the camaraderie between these 3 girls doesn't really click, doesn't really work. And the boyfriend, the character of Mike, it's Froy Gutierrez. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. Froy, what is it good for? Absolutely nothing. He's just like a bumbling fool and doesn't seem like he should be able to get out of bed and find his own goddamn feet. And not because he's high, just because he doesn't seem like he ever had an attached brainstem, even from birth. So anyway, nevertheless, we just get the same old stuff, and we get, a possible... We may be getting more of these, it seems, because naturally, as this movie will make money, we will continue to have certain things, just be milk dry to the point that it just becomes absolutely hilarious. One thing that I do want to point out, by the way, is these special effects are not good. They're not good at all. They barely would pass for something 15 years ago, maybe even 20 years ago. At times, I guess they look okay, but you would think for something that Disney, had heard, for years and years to make it good, the special effects weren't good. They felt like sets. Every location felt like a set. It didn't feel like a living, breathing city. It just felt like a series of locations. The woods in particular looked like a soundstage. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if you can't even try to dress it up and you aren't going to make an effort, then unfortunately the movie is just going to end up looking, quite frankly, fake and phony. And like you put very little effort into it. And the acting wasn't particularly good. I'm sorry, but by the time they tried to get to anything emotional, it was testing my patience. There wasn't a whole lot good to this, in my personal opinion. There are people that love the original, and they will probably love this. And I'm not knocking anybody that likes it. Just to me, for somebody that went in with very low expectations, because again, no affection towards the original, no hatred, this was not good. It was just a generic, churned out sequel that was put put on the factory line, pieces here, pieces there. Let's put a little new IP stuff in there. Let's have some horrible dance numbers, horrible song numbers, despite the fact that Bette Midler actually can sing, and then let's just go from there. And then let's have other characters act like no other characters would act like, because nobody actually acts like a goddamn human here. It just feels samey and feels generic. Now I am going to get into spoilers, but it's on Disney Plus. If you want to check it out, I have certainly seen worse things that Disney has put out. This is not as bad as a live action Pinocchio, which I hated, but this is still not very good to say the least. Okay, 3, 2, 1, and spoilers. Okay, so it turns out Gilbert, Sam Richardson, is a big fan of the Sanderson sisters. Has all their stuff in his magic shop, literally all their stuff. And the stuff we see from the beginning where, the girls are, they're young sisters and they form a bond and everything. There's Hannah Waddingham. She plays the witch mother. She looks great, by the way, I do want to say. She teaches the girls, a witch is nothing without her coven, hands them the book, or book that is, the thing with the eye on it, pulling the Tetsuya Naito. Again, non-wrestling fans have no idea what I'm talking about. And then we find out about Becca, Izzy, and Cassie and all that stuff. And Becca and Izzy spend a lot of time trapped or running away. They end up trapped in a basement at one point. Gilbert is forced to do the bidding of the witches, or otherwise he will die. There's also a black cat in the shop that has nothing to do with the original Black Cat, because Sean Murray's character ended up ascending into heaven because he was old and the spell was broken. And the zombie, Billy, comes back. And it turns out that Billy is just about, oddly, the zombie actually looks more lively than the goddamn witches and then the sets, despite the fact he's supposed to be undead. Eventually, Beck and Izzy find Cassie, who's been throwing this party, but her dad, who's the mayor, who also is a descendant of the reverend that cast him into the woods, so they set his house on fire and did all this stuff. Now they want him, but then they take Cassie, because Cassie's a daughter. They were also trapped in a salt circle for a while, and there's Roombas. There were Roombas that Kathy Najimmy's character rode instead of a broom, because that's sweet product placement. Also, there was a lengthy scene in a Walgreens, because, again, sweet product placement. And the Alexa stuff, honestly, that's pretty ridiculous. Why would anybody have an Alexa in their house? I really don't get that. Nevertheless, if you have it, that's fine. It's just the Walgreens thing was particularly ridiculous. They're trying all this stuff, and they're so shocked by all this, cream and all this crazy stuff and everything, despite the fact that they didn't explore much of how they didn't, understand new technology in 1993, and unfortunately now they don't. They do it for a little bit, and then that's it. Oh, and also the reason that Sam Richardson's character is so in tune with the Sanderson sisters is because he was one random character that just happened to see them as they were flying towards the cemetery. That's it. And then he went to the cemetery and saw them evaporate, and he was too late to save them. Also, the book is there for a little bit, and the book actually warns them, don't use this spell that can make you all-powerful, because the warning is you will lose what matters most to you. You must sacrifice what matters most to you. Also, Becca has powers. Becca has witch powers. Why? Why the hell not? Because we need to have other people go and do a goddamn sequel. And then it turns out that even though they managed to somehow get the spell going, and Winifred, Bette Midler's character, gets it, and it seems like they're all powerful. Oh, the sisters evaporate because, oh yeah, you sacrifice what matters most to you, that's the sisters. Also, lightning powers. Lots of lightning. God damn. Ride the Lightning from Metallica didn't talk about lightning as much as this. Lightning McQueen repeated Human Centipede together with Ride the Lightning, and Human Centipede together with Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Lightning Thief, wouldn't have that much lightning. Thor, God of Thunder, throwing down lightning strikes for 50 years. Wouldn't have had as much lightning as this movie had at one point. But then Becca basically has control of the book because she's a witch, and she says, "Book, is there nothing that we can do?" "Oh, there is." And Bette Midler's like, "There's something we gotta do. Yeah, here's what we're gonna do. It's a spell of reuniting. Bette Midler, you're going to see them." "Okay." And then everything's fine. And then the girls are dancing, and then that's it. Now, that's not it. You know why that's not it? Because remember how in the first one a candle was lit by a virgin? In this one, a candle was also lit by a virgin. And then the forest set was split so the witches could be resurrected. And now, we go to the magic shop at the very end, and the black cat is around another candle, hinting at another sequel. Look, if they wait 29 years, I don't think Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, and Kathy Najimy are going to be able to do that, assuming that they live another 29 years. I'm not writing them off. I'm just saying that nobody lives forever. Nobody lives forever unless you're Keith Richards. And you're a Rolling Stones fan, you will absolutely love that. So, nevertheless, the movie just hints at a possible sequel. Okay. Was it endearing? No. Was it magical? No. Was it good? No. Was it well written? No. And I also don't think that anybody that directs a movie, bad comedy with Sofia Vergara in it, should be allowed to direct a movie with more bad comedy. That was Hot Pursuit, by the way, which was ass. But nevertheless, I'm sorry. Hocus Pocus 2 gets an F. Probably going to get a lot of hate for that. I don't really care. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Ritlin. I'll see you soon.